Among the tale of terrible bloodshed, brutal conquest, and destruction, the legend of Ghengis Khan was born. He and his successors held on to the record of the largest empire ever. So, what is it that we don't know about him? Let's find out. This video will be fun to watch. Today we will unfold 8 unknown facts about Ghengis Khan that you may have never heard of. History is always exciting when we talk about powerful dynasties and their legends. So, without further ado, let's jump into it. Number 8. No one knows what he looked like. Ghengis Khan is one of history's most influential figures, but there's so much we don't know about him. For example, there is no authentic record of what he actually looked like. For such an influential entity, very little is known about Ghengis Khan's physical appearance or his personal life. No reliable portraits or sculptures of him have survived to this day, and what minute information historians do have is primarily contradictory or baseless. He was known to be tall and robust, with flowy hair and a long beard that strangled his neck. His eyes were described as green or red, depending on who told them then. Perhaps the most shocking description comes courtesy of the 14th century Persian chronicler Rashad al-Din, who stated that Ghengis Khan had green eyes and red hair. Al-Din's account is questionable, as he never met the Khan in person. Now that's unusual. Number 7. Ghengis Khan was a famously ruthless warlord who conquered much of Asia and Europe with an army of about 200,000 men. He is also known for his cunning, which he used to convince his enemies that he was more afraid of them than they were of him. Some of his most trusted and powerful generals were former enemies, including Jebbe, who became one of the Mongols' greatest field commanders for their conquests of Asia and Europe. One example of this came during a battle against rival tribes in 1201. Genghis' horse was shot out from under him by an arrow, and the soldier who shot it had been his enemy until that moment. When he got captured by several other prisoners and asked who was responsible for the attack, he stood up fearlessly. Ghengis was so impressed by the soldier's bravery and courage that he made him an officer in his army and nicknamed him Jebbe, or an arrow. Along with the famed general Subutai, Jebbe became one of Mongols' greatest field commanders during their conquests in Asia and Europe. Number 6. His brutality. Ghengis Khan was one of history's most ruthless conquerors and didn't always treat his subjects kindly. He often took advantage of them, and some of his most entrusted generals were former enemies who had turned to him for help in the past. His success as a military leader can be attributed to his ability to inspire his troops with faith in their skills by giving them a sense of purpose. He also understood that discipline is critical, so he never left any score unsettled. Ghengis Khan often allowed other kingdoms to submit to Mongol rule peacefully, but he didn't hesitate to bring down his sword on any society that resisted. One of his most famous revenge campaigns took place in 1219, after the Shah of Khwarezmid Empire broke and disrespected a treaty with Ghengis. Even though Ghengis had offered Shah a trade of great value to exchange goods along the Silk Road. Still, when his first emissaries were murdered, the furious Khan responded by unleashing the force of his Mongol hordes on the Khwarezmid territories in Persia. The subsequent war left millions dead, a legendary story in history. Brutal. Number 5. Installed first international portal system. Out of his many great successes, this is the greatest. The Mongols had a powerful communication system, one of the first international postal services. It was called the yam, not the sweet potatoes we eat. So then, what was it used for? This express mail system included post houses and way stations across all their empire. Riders could cover up to 200 miles daily, with rest stops and new horses. This was created for faster communication. The Khan used this as an eye and ear to watch events and network with spies and scouts. Not bad. Foreigners like Marco Polo and John of Plano Carpini also used this service during their travels. This postal system helped to maintain discipline within the empire. Number 4. He was tolerant of other religions. Ghengis Khan was more open-minded than most other empire builders, granting religious freedom. He was known as the king to embrace diversity, to provide religious freedom for everyone. His liberalism didn't just stem from politics. As I said, the Mongols were incredibly diverse, with Nestorian Christians, Buddhists, Muslims, and Aminists living in the steppe. He even had a personal interest in spirituality, praying for days before effective campaigns and engaging with various spiritual leaders. Towards the end of his life, he brought Taoist master Chu Chuji to his camp for extended conversations about immortality and philosophy. He also passed official laws declaring the freedom of religion and granted tax exemptions on religious sites. This rooted a peaceful environment for his people. Number 3. He had a rough childhood. Ghengis was exposed to the aggression of life on the Mongolian grasslands at a young age. No doubt why Genghis Khan was so brave and fierce. His father was poisoned, and death was caused by the Tatar people when Ghengis was 9 years old, as his tribe leader ousted his family, leaving his mother to manage her 7 offspring alone and creating a challenging environment for him to nurture. To survive, Ghengis depended on hunting. As a teenager, he likely murdered his half-brother during an argument over provisions. He was hot-tempered indeed, so we can't rule out the possibility. Later in life, he and his young wife were kidnapped by rival clans, and he was enslaved until he made a daring escape. Whoa! Despite these ordeals, Ghengis had earned a reputation as an impressive warrior and leader by the time he was in his early 20s. After forming an army of loyal followers, he began consolidating connections with the chiefs of powerful tribes. By 1206, he had unified the steppe coalitions under his banner and started planning for external conquest. This is how the Ghengis we know spent his childhood and adulthood. Number 2. The real name of Genghis Khan. It is accurate that the man who would later become known as the Great Genghis Khan of the Mongols was born near the Onan River in 1162 and was initially called Temujin or Temuchin, meaning blacksmith. How interesting is that? It wasn't until 1206, when he was declared leader at a tribal gathering, known as a Kurultai, that he earned the name Genghis Khan. The title Khan means leader or ruler, but experts haven't determined what Ghengis meant. However, it has different pronunciations, such as Chingis, Genghis, or Jingis. It may have been linked to ocean or just, but it's usually translated as the chief and known explicitly for supreme ruler or universal ruler. Number 1. No one knows where he is buried. It sounds strange, but we don't understand how Genghis Khan died or where he's buried. He died on August 18th, 1227. Most believe that he died during a well-known campaign against Shisha from the Tangut Kingdom. The rumors about the end of his life vary. Some say he perished from the injuries sustained after a fall from a horse, while others think it was malaria or even an arrow wound in the knee. Another unreliable rumor is that he was killed while trying to force himself on a Chinese princess. We don't know the absolute truth. No matter what happened, Genghis Khan made sure his final resting place remained hidden. One of his death wishes. His funeral procession killed anyone they encountered while traveling, and then they rode horses over the burial spot multiple times to make it harder to find. It's believed that his tomb is located somewhere in or near Birkenkolden Mountain in Mongolia, yet its exact location remains unknown. The beginning and end of Genghis Khan lead us to various unknown, undiscovered, and untold truths. Many things are still draped with secrecy regarding his rule and his life. But what we know is the enchanting, significant era he ruled and marked history with. Tell us your thoughts about this video and let us know in the comment section what you would like to see in our next video. I hope you had fun, and thank you for watching. Remember to check our other videos. If you are new to this channel, subscribe and hit the bell icon to get our exciting updates. Past presented.